We were just in a producer panel here at GearFest, and Ross Hogarth, who I think you worked with
yeah,
Storyville,
sure.
was talking about how it's really become a cottage industry.
Yeah,
you know, things have kind of dispersed, and send me your tracks and I'll play on them in a home studio
totally,
kind of thing.
Totally. And you know, that's, you know, we can bemoan that the good old days are gone and everything, but I mean, I'm choosing to embrace the fact that, you know, as an individual without a record company, I can make a record in my home studio, and I have immediately, as soon as it's done, I have international distribution.
Right.
CD Baby, iTunes, Amazon, all that stuff. You know, that's unheard of 5 years ago. You had to have a record company. So, you know, I think you're really seeing this incredible proliferation of home studios, and people kind of expect you to have stuff, and then they expect you not to charge them for the studio time, which is kind of a, you know, it's a great deal for them, but it's a fact of life.
Right.
And so I'm sure here, you guys, you know, everybody is building a home studio.
Sure.
And it's got to be really exciting for you guys.
Absolutely.
To see all the new gear come in, and I love having a home studio, and I have 2 solo CDs out. I did them totally at my house. I mixed them, did all the engineering, and you know, when I finished working with the Dixie Chicks in 2003, they paid me very well, and I was able to go out and kind of buy gear for my studio, and I bought a mixture of vintage gear and new gear. And find that, you know, they both have their place, and you know, I got a great setup, and I love working that way, you know. And I think, you know, all the software that's out there now that you can do things with, it's just 10 years ago, if you had said this is what it's going to be like, I would have said no way.
Right. Now, when you were, the albums sound great, your solo albums. I've listened to both of them. They sound wonderful. Did you teach yourself to do the engineering and the production by watching the engineers in the studios you're working in?
I did.
So picked up a lot of stuff that way?
I was constantly asking questions, hopefully just under the threshold of being a pain in the butt, you know. But yeah, I would take notice of what microphones were used, ask them what pre's they were using, and then I would, you know, like the compressors. What do you do for electric guitar? How do you set an 1176? And I had like world-class engineers say, well, you turn this knob all the way that way and this knob all the way that way for electric guitar, because you want to let the transients through. You know, I mean, so it was just like one thing after another. And then microphones, picking people's brain about microphones. I bought a lot of nice vintage microphones, which have been, you know, not only great for making the records, but they've been a great investment. And then, you know, the new gear, I would really ask around. You know, it's from dealers who I find are some of the most knowledgeable people, along with great engineers like Ross. Like, what's new that you dig? You know, I love Daking preamps. I like the universal audio stuff. And then, I mean, I do a real hybrid situation where initially I had a console, but I'm mixed totally in the box, and the software is so amazing that, you know. And then Apogee converters, I totally think. And when I got my Apogees, it was like unbelievable. The clocking I noticed immediately. You know, I could hear the field tighten up and widen, but tighten up at the same time.
Sure.
And then the converters sound so much better. So, but I'm mixing the box with the UAD plugins, and I use Digital Performer, because it has automatic delay compensation. And I didn't really want to spring for the huge Pro Tools, the top of the line. And, you know, at the time, my budget really didn't allow me to go the $10,000 route.
Sure.
But so I've stayed in Digital Performer because that's what I know.
And it works great.
And I have an 003 too, so that when I do sessions, records that I produce, we go to another studio, cut all the tracks, bring them home, and we can do all the overdubs with the 003. And it's just a matter of changing the word clock and the ADAT cables out. And boom, you're right there.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is.